Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the New Haven Independent Vlog News Summary, direct from our newsroom, otherwise known as my Compost Heap. Let's see what stories we're working on this week. Well, got here an American flag. Before you write in all those angry comments, I have a confession. This flag was not in the Compost Heap. It wasn't on the ground. It was off view of the camera. And in fact, when I use this in past editions, that's what I did too, because I'm not interested in insulting and hurting the feelings of veterans or people who care about the flag. They've lost people in war. But I want to make the point that the way we wave this flag and make it more important than human beings or the ideals we say we represent is hurtful, and it can be used to hate, to promote hate, and to hurt people. The best example was this week in New Haven. We had a historic week, a beautiful week. Hundreds of immigrants came out of the shadows to get new municipal IDs to help them open bank accounts so they won't get mugged, access city parks and libraries, and become part of our community. It was a wonderful moment. People waited, including little kids, 12 hours or more to get their ID, and it's all legal. A small band of hateful protesters, mostly from out of town, were harassing them, even harassing the little kids. And they were waving flags to do it, to hate them and say, you're not part of our country, you're not part of our ideal, a nation built on immigrants. They were led by groups like the John Birch Society, they're still around, a new hate group in North Branford that is a descendant of the White Citizens Council, and they were revved up by our own hate radio preacher, Jerry Christopher, and WELI, the new Father Coughlin. But John DeStefano said it best. He's the mayor, and he was moved by the crowds that came in all week for a chance to be part of our community. And here's what John DeStefano said. Service to one another, more than waving the American flag, defines the spirit of the American soul. Amen. Mayor DeStefano, you were speaking for me and for our whole city. We're proud of what your administration did, and we're proud to be part of this. Let's see what else we're working on. Oh, the Tooth Fairy was here. This I'm not proud of. The Tooth Fairy came to New Haven and wrote yet another false report of bogus numbers, pie-in-the-sky numbers, about how much money we're going to make and how many jobs are going to be created by building a big new development at State and Chapel Street, the old Schartenberg site. The city is trying to ram through this terrible project to be built, a 31-story tower, and they want to give all this corporate welfare to an out-of-town developer to do it. Where have we heard this before? Does the name Downtown South ring a bell? Washington Center? It doesn't ring a bell because they never got built. But in the late 80s, we gave all this corporate welfare to another group of rich out-of-town developers who are going to build huge projects to create tons of jobs and tons of revenue for us, as long as we gave them money up front. In fact, John DeStefano did that when he worked at City Hall on a previous job. This week, aldermen bought these bogus fairy tale numbers from the city that starting in the year 2014, we're going to make all this tax revenue if this developer built a 31-story tower, and we give them a lot of money up front. That's crazy. And in fact, the same kind of East Rock, well-meaning liberal aldermen who helped those old deals go through on bogus numbers were important players this time, too, in saying, let's go ahead with it. Now, even if the siege is terrible, those 31 stories will destroy the scale of the 9th Square and a part of town in which more than $100 million has been invested to create a sidewalk-scale, street-scale, human type of neighborhood. But we have to learn from the past instead of making the same mistakes. The only two people who said no were two aldermen who were around in the 80s, George Perez and Andrew Jackson Brooks. Until next time, this is the New Haven Independent Vlog News Summary. And remember, always pick up your trash.